Hello everyone. I hope my voice is audible. Hello. Yeah. A very good morning to all the attendees who are attending for the who have joined the DraftSight demonstration. So I'm Pramod, working as application engineer at Beacon, and I welcome you all to DraftSight 2D CAD solution demonstration. So yeah, now let us start with it. Okay. So I think there are some 18 to 20 attendees who have joined. So now let's begin with the poll question. So I would like to know your opinion. So I would like to know how frequently you use the 2D CAD solution in your organization. So I request everybody to answer the question. So I'll just wait for another 5-10 seconds and then we shall start. Okay. So the poll question results happens to be like this. So I see 80% of you use your CAD solution every day, and 13% of people occasionally for specific projects, and 7% exclusively for all design activities. And it is surprising that 0% of the people have not used at all. So that means everybody are using, and you are used to the 2D CAD solutions in your day-to-day design activities. Okay. So now let us start with the presentation. So what is the most common CAD format used? So we have four questions. So one is the SLD PRT and the DXF file, the .dwg format and the .step file. So which question do you think would be the one that will be used frequently over here? So let us go for the solution. Yeah, so here I would like to say like we don't have any options over here. So we shall see what is the right answer. So .dwg is one of the format that every designer uses in his day-to-day life, in his design life cycle. So now to start with, so as you all know, so as I mentioned earlier, so .dwg is one of the format that's been worldwide used, and this is one of the format that came into existence at a very early stage of the design cycle. So designers since the eras of 1980s and 1970s have been using the same format, and it is still widely used in the industry. So similarly, so just like any other 2D CAD tools, so the DraftSight is also based on the same .dwg format. So let us have an overview of today's agenda. So this is going to be today's agenda. So wherein we'll be having an overview of the DraftSight user interface, the essential tools, dynamic blocks and PDF import, annotation, toolbox components, power tools, customize and Lisp support, and let us summarize what we saw for the day. So we'll start with the first thing. So DraftSight user interface. So rather than showing anything in a video, I would like to showcase you the things in a live presentation. So I'll just go for the tool. Yeah. So this is how the DraftSight user interface looks like. So this user interface or the model space is actually an infinite uh, tool space. So wherein you can design your n number of contents over here, and this uh, designer face is actually infinite, so there is no limitations for your design dimensions over here. And the next thing is, so DraftSight comes in three user interfaces. So one is DraftSight drafting and annotation, so which is currently active over here, so wherein all the commands are set in individual tabs, and within every individual tabs we have ribbons which carry a definite similar kinds of commands. So all your draw commands are going to be set over here in one particular draw ribbon, and we have all your modification commands set under the modify ribbon. So like this, so we have the interface being designed in the DraftSight tool. And next, so we have another user interface which is called as the classic. So most of the designers who work in drafting layout designs and for the architectural styles, so they prefer this kind of a user interface. So wherein all your commands are being distributed completely around your DraftSight user interface tool. So let us look about the other user interface. So this is the 3D modeling user interface. So in this 3D modeling user interface, you will be having access to create a simplistic 3D models with respect to Boolean operations. And these models which we create are not parametric, and it's just only a conceptual designs which we'll be creating in the 3D environment over here. And next thing is, Most of the times, the designers who work on the 2D platform, they prefer working using the command windows rather than looking for commands over here in the tabs or the ribbons. So they would like to activate their commands using the keyboards. So even in DraftSight, so any command you would like to activate. So it's very similar to the way you work on the other CAD tools. It can be AutoCAD or any other 2D platform CAD tools. So it is like the same way it's been done over here also. And as most of the users who are migrating to DraftSight are from the AutoCAD platform, so I would like to say DraftSight shares 85 to 90% of similarity with respect to AutoCAD, which means any user who is well aware of the AutoCAD tool can directly start working on DraftSight since day one. So there is no need of any particular training or any other activity to be happened for a person to migrate from AutoCAD to DriveSight. We can say it is a zero migration tool wherein a person with basic knowledge of AutoCAD can start working on DraftSight since day one. And also even the nomenclature of every commands which you see is also same over here. So it can be your line command or it can be your any other modification commands or any other commands. So it is very much similar, pretty similar to the AutoCAD commands itself. So next thing is, so we shall see about the next thing. So we just saw how the DraftSight user interface looks like. So it has a familiar user interface with respect to any other CAD tool that is existing in the industry, and you can conveniently save, work, and conveniently work on DWG files and save them and also share them. So as I mentioned earlier, so DraftSight has a also has the basic file saving format as DWG. So wherein bringing in files from AutoCAD as well as transferring the files from DraftSight to AutoCAD or bringing in files from AutoCAD to DraftSight will not be any hassle over here. So it is going to be a hassle-free uh, transactions between the two tools. So now let us start with the next thing. So the next concept is about, we shall discuss about the dynamic block and PDF import. So let us look at this, look into the same in our in the live presentation. So here, as you all can see, so I have a pump valve that's been created over here. So many times when we are working on any kinds of designs, so we'll be reusing the designs in different views that we want to plot them. So in that scenarios, this particular feature is going to be very helpful. So for example, so here I have this pump valve. So I'm gonna reuse this in my other designs. So let us say like I'll just copy and paste it in the other design. So I'm gonna paste it somewhere over here. So now here I want to showcase or project only the side view of my tool. And let us imagine like I have another view over here at the bottom. So wherein I'm gonna paste the same model, but here I'm gonna keep it only with the front view activated. So like this, in a single design itself, in a single block itself, you can do custom creations. So wherein it is going to be very helpful to you when you're reusing it again and again in your repetitive drawing cycles. And next, it's not only with respect to creating different views and also with respect to creating automated distancing. So if you can see here, so I have some lines that's been marked over here. So wherein people wants to increase in this particular example, so we want to increase this the distance of the file with respect to only noted entities or only with respect to some specific distance, which works as a standard. So in that scenarios, you can create one drawing and you can reuse it at different entities where you want to have it with different similar drawings with different dimensions. So this is where the dynamic block is going to be very helpful for people who work on repetitive designs. So let us summarize what we saw now. So dynamic blocks and PDF import. So easily create and modify your dynamic or custom blocks. So easy print and batch print. So easy to import PDF drawings and work upon them. So let me showcase you an example where we can bring in any PDF files and work on it. So I'll just open a new file over here. So I would like to import one of the PDF drawings. So I'll just go for the import. I'll just go for PDF. I'll just try to browse for any particular file. So here you can see I have some particular drawing being created. So let us take an example of this. So I would like to open this. So this is one of the 4 floor plans that's been created. And at any point of time, you want to edit it, so you can just click on it and you can explore the drawing and you can start editing the model. And the beauty of DraftSight over here is that so it takes the one-on-one scaled dimensions, whether it is imported from PDF or whether it is imported directly from the CAD file. So this way you can directly import PDF files and you can work on it in a easy manner. So let us look at the next what are the other features that are available in the DraftSight. So next thing is annotation. So most of our designers spend their time in providing details for the drawings. So here I have an example. So where I would like to showcase you how creating dimensions is very much easy compared to in DraftSight compared to any other CAD tool. So in this presentation, I'm just trying to give you insights of how DraftSight is going to be a value addition tool for you once you migrate from your any other CAD tool to DraftSight. So the general line commands and modify commands are going to be same. So that's why I'm not focusing on that particular part. So I'm just trying to showcase you the highlighting features of DraftSight here. So coming to the annotation part. So here you can see I have a particular profile that's been created over here. So let us try to do dimensioning. So usually when we try to define dimensions, we need to define what is the type of dimension. Whether we are trying to give dimensions for a parallel entity or a linear entity, angular, diameter, radius, what is the type of dimensions that we are going to showcase that we need to predefine in any other CAD tool and then give the dimensions. Whereas in DraftSight, so we have one of the feature that is called as smart dimensions. So as you all know, DraftSight is a part of the SolidWorks and the Dassault Systems portfolio. So similarly, some features or DNA of SolidWorks or the 3D CAD has been bought into DraftSight. So let us show. This is also one of the feature that's been carried from a 3D CAD designer tool to a 2D CAD designer tool. So let me showcase you how this particular smart dimension works on. So I'll just activate the smart dimension command. So I'll just select this particular line. So automatically it takes the linear line dimension. So now I'm going to select this particular line. Along with that, I'm going to select this particular line. So automatically it gives me the angular dimension. So next, as this is a semicircle, so it's going to take it as a radius, and as this is a complete circle, so it is going to take it as a diameter. So without shift changing tools or without changing between the dimensions, using one particular tool, you can give annotations to multiple types of annotations. So this is one of the tool that is going to be a that is going to save a lot of time for our designers. So next thing what we want to see is how this particular draft set is going to be helping us with respect to automatic dimension. So for automatic dimension, I'm going to select the profile and next I'm going to create a bounding box over here. So next I'll just go for the auto dimension option, and here I need to define the origin. So I'll just go select the origin, and next I would like to select this particular point as my origin. So once the origin has been defined, so here we have options. So whether what type of dimension we are trying to showcase over here. So whether it is a baseline dimension I want to showcase over here, or whether it is going to be a continuous dimension, or whether it is going to be an ordinate dimension. So for this example, I'm going to take it as a baseline dimension itself, and next we shall check for the preview. So automatically considering the XY or the origin preference point over here, so this draft set is going to give you all the respective annotations or dimensions from the origin. So this is one of the ways of creating auto dimensions to our models. So this is also one of the tools that is going to save a lot of time for our designers when they are working on their draft site when they are working on their drafting part or the with respect to definite profiles. So next we shall go back to the PPT and we shall see what's we summarized. So familiar annotation commands with respect to any other CAD tool. So and also the addition over here is the smart dimension. So which is going to help you in giving dimensions annotations to multiple types with a single command activated. So advanced annotation capabilities with the auto dimension option. So right tools to create production ready drawings. So next thing is the toolbox components. So let us see how the toolbox components works with respect to the DraftSight tool. So if you can see over here, so I have a simple drawing that's been created over here. So uh, this toolbox components are available in DraftSight from a very base version. So in most of the competitive CAD tools, they have to go for an upgraded version or the highest version of the CAD to be to have access for the toolbox components. So whereas in DraftSight, the toolbox components or the library components are being given to our clients since the base version itself. So next, so what are the different standards that are available in the DraftSight? So as you can see over here, so we have ANSI inches, ANSI metric, BSI, DIN, ISO, and JIS. So including the Indian standards as well as the international standards. So whichever standards you want to do your annotation or you want to create your CAD models, so you can make use of these particular toolbox components. And there are almost 7 lakh toolbox components available in the DraftSight. And next thing is the layer management. So in most of the CAD tools, layer management is one of the feature that is very important when working on the 2D platform. So in many of the CAD tools, what we do, so like once we create any particular profiles or once the design is completed, we select that specific or particular profile entities and add them into the layers. So suppose once a drawing is created, I want all my dimensions to be in one layer. So I select the dimensions and put them on the layer. And I want some other components to be in another layer. So we do that work manually. But whereas in DraftSight, we have an option called as predefined layer management. So wherein even before we start our drawings, we can make sure we define the layer properties in such a way that once that particular tool or any command is being used, so it automatically gets activated in that respective layer. So for examples, I want all my center lines to be activated in one particular layer. So what I can do, I can define all its properties over here. And whenever I use that particular center line command, so that is going to be getting activated in that particular layer itself. Similarly, if I have any dimensions to be done, so I can predefine the properties of the dimensions over here, so that whenever I use any dimension or whenever I do any annotation, so that is going to be preset in that particular layer itself. So this is one of the things that's going to be saving our time and acts as a template when we are working on different projects. So now let us see how the hole walk. So whenever we try to define a hole in a particular 2D profile, so we usually define it by using a circle command. So we activate the circle command and we draw a circle which indicates that is a hole in the drawing. But whereas we have advanced options of defining hole in the DraftSight. So let us take a simple example. So here we have something called as a hole toolbox hole components. So wherein we have different types of holes that can be added over here. So it can be a countersink hole, counterbore hole, countersink, through holes, tap hole, and slot hole. And among these holes also you can select different standards which you want to work on and the type of holes you want to work on and how you want to present it in the drawing, how you want to apply it into the drawing. So whether you want to apply it with the top view format or whether you want to have it in a hidden format, whether you want to have it in a section format. So like this you can select the appearance of your hole of the holes which you want to project in the drawing. And then once everything has been designed over here, so I'll just click on OK. And now I'm gonna place this particular hole over here. So similarly I want to place it somewhere over here. I'll just add 2 holes over here. So what is the why are we using these whole commands rather than using the circles? So you'll just get to know it in a small while. So next, as that now that we have added these holes over here, so now I would like to create a hole table so that it will be easy for the manufacturer to understand and analyze the data and work on it at the manufacturing sector. So I'll just take this whole table and now need to specify the origin. So you can see once you read in the command window, it gives you what step you need to do in the next thing. So once a particular command is taken. So now I need to specify an origin. So which has been showcased over here. So now I need to specify the holes. So now I'm going to select all these holes. And now that all the holes have been specified, next I want to select the place where I'm going to insert the whole table. So I'll just click here so that the whole table is inserted over here. So if I had defined the holes by using a circle, all this manual data I would have to put it manually with my own efforts, putting the inputs in the whole table. But whereas as I made use of the library existing whole command, that is the whole wizard options. So here you can see all the data that I had given during my inputs over here have been appearing in the table in the form of description, and all the other details are available over here. So no need for me to do it manually. So this is coming in an automated format, and also the labeling of every hole is being done automatically. So you can see here, so every hole's labeling is also being done automatically along with the position of the hole from the origin. So as I defined X and Y origin as a center, so it is also giving me the distance where this particular hole is being placed. So this particular whole table is gonna make the designers work as well as the manufacturers work much easier by providing them right information with respect to the design data. And next thing is we need to add next thing is we shall see how bill of materials is going to be added in terms of mechanical models. So here I'm going to select a balloon. So I want to add balloon to this particular component. So I'll just select it over here. Yeah. So here you can see when I try to add a balloon over here, so along with the balloon, it is giving me a data input tab. So using this particular data input tab, so I can add the details with respect to that particular part file for which I'm going to add a add the ballooning. So whether it is an assembly or if you have any specific assembly name, so you can give the assembly name over here. So how many items are being used over here? That is the item number as well as the part number. If you want to have any description, so same description can be added over here. And also what is the quantity of this particular product present in the assembly. So all these details we can put over here. And once the details have been put, so the same thing details are going to be appearing in the bill of materials table. So here I'll just create a BOM table. And as you can see, I have already added some of the balloons over here. So if you just go through this details over here. So what details I have added in the balloon, same has been updated in the bill of materials table also. So suppose I want to make changes or modify it. So I'll just double click on this particular balloon. So if you can see here, the quantity is 1, the description is bearing house. So I'll just make this quantity as maybe 15. And now I'll just click on OK. So instantly the data gets updated in the BOM table also. So what inputs we give over here, so the same is tabulated in the form of a table in the bill of materials tool. So next we shall see how the hardware components are going to be added to the models. So here I'm going to add some screw over here. So I'll just take a screw component. So here we have different standards and the type of screws, what type of screws we want to add, that is available over here. So including the industry standard sizes, and also if you want, whether you want to have a bearing or not, you can just define the head options over here. So what type of threading you are trying to do, so that also you can add or select over here. And once everything is done, so I want to add this particular screw component over here, but I don't know what is the distance over here. So what I'll do, I'll just select this option, specify thickness in the graphics area, and next I shall select the endpoints with respect to which the distance input has to be taken. So if you can observe over here, so the tool helped me graphically measure the distance over here, and the same distance has been taken as an input for the length of the screw. And next, once the screw has been distance, everything has been defined. So what we shall define the properties of the fastener. So whether we want a washer at the top or not, you can see over here in the preview itself, you will get to know. So whether I want a washer at the bottom or not. So sometimes if we want a double nut or a single nut. So every details can be defined over here. And then once it is done, I'll just click on OK. And I would like to add this exactly over here. So as the distance has been automatically taken from the tool itself by measuring it graphically, so it completely fits into it without any disturbances. So this is one of the uh, examples of the hardware components or the toolbox components that is available in the DraftSight. So now let us go for the PPT. So let us summarize what we saw till now. Yeah. So around 7,000 standard components are available as a library components in the DraftSight. So which includes your screws, nut, bolt, washer, holes, and pins. So ANSI, ISO, DIN, BSI, JSI, all the industry relevant standards are available. So whichever standard you want to work on, whether it's an Indian standard or international standards, you can directly activate those standards and start working on it. So with the help of toolbox component, the designers are going to reduce the time and effort in creating the components manually. Rather than creating the components manually, they can make use of the components from the toolbox. So other than these things, so what extra we are getting in DraftSight? So DraftSight has a set of tools which we call it as power tools that is going to make the designer's job easy in his day-to-day life cycle. So let us see what are these particular power tools. So if you can see over here, so I have added some images over here and I have some drawings. So at any point of time, so when a designer is inspired by a particular image and he wants to extract data from the image and convert that data into CAD editable entities. In that scenario, the image tracer from the power tools is going to be very much helpful. So if you can see over here, all these CAD editable entities which I have taken is generated from the images. So it's been extracted from the images and I have been able to extract these particular drawing over here. So I shall showcase one of such examples in live. So I'll just move this particular Dassault Systems logo. I'll just take this logo. I'll just place it somewhere over here. So to make sure that there is nothing at the background, so now I shall activate the image tracer command, and now we shall see how this image tracer command works on. So if you can see over here, so I have, once I drop down, so I have different options that are available. So these are the kernels upon which the image tracer is going to be working on. So whenever a designer is working, so what kind of data he's trying to extract from the image can be defined over here. So whenever you're working on a floor plan, so if you want to extract data from a floor plan image into CAD editable entity, you can select the floor plan. Whenever you are trying to extract data from a logo, you can go for the logo option. So based on the case study you are working on, you can select the options over here. So as it is a logo that I'm going to extract over here, I'll select the logo. And next thing is how I want to extract data from this in which format. So whether I want the data to be extracted in lines format, polylines, fitted polylines, or splines. So I can select the options over here. And once everything is done, so I shall select the image with respect to which I want to extract the data. So now that I have selected the image, I'll just click on OK. So now let us see how we have got the output over here. So I'll just activate the move command. So I'll just activate this move command to move my image. Yeah, so now we can see over here. So the data has been completely extracted from the Dassault Systems image and it's been converted into CAD editable entity. So this is one of the features that is going to be helpful for our designers whenever they are trying to extract data from the images other than the CAD files and the PDF files. So now let us see what are the other uh, power tools that are available. So we have something called as a G-code generator for customers who work on sheet metal industries. So this is one of the tools that is going to be pretty helpful. So this G-code generator helps you in generating the codes for your sheet metal cutting operations. Suppose you have a particular profile and you want to generate codes for it and input it into the uh, cutting machines. So in that scenario, this G-code generator is going to be pretty much helpful. So just select this G-code generator. I'll select the image and next I shall go for generate. So once the image tracer has generated it, so next I'm gonna save this. So I'll just save it on my desktop. I'll just give it as untitled one and I'm gonna save it. I'll just take it directly on the desktop. So now let us see how the G codes have been generated over here. So you can see over here, so all the codes with respect to the profile which I had created has been generated. So you can directly give this as an input into your manufacturing or the cutting machines or any other laser cutting machines or any other machines you are preferring. So next we shall see what are the other let us have an overview of another tool, so which is a part of the power tools. So we have something called as a draw compare. So I shall just browse this for this particular file. So wherein I have one dimension A. So you can change the color codes over here. So based on your requirement, so whichever color you prefer to check on it, so you can just select that one. And next I'm gonna go for another file. So here I'm gonna go for this dimensions B. I'll just open these two entities. So if you can see over here, I'll just go for the drawings comparison. So whenever we are working on any particular file and we are changing the when we are doing revisions on the file. So what we have to perform is that maybe we are adding some extra entities to the existing file to make it as a new revision, or maybe we are removing from entities from the design to make it as a new revision. So the revision command the revision property works on addition of some extra entities or maybe removal of some extra entities in the CAD file. So similarly, so we have filters to find out what are the additions that's been done on the previous version of file to the new version of file, and we have filters to check what are the removals that's been added to the previous version of file to make it a new version of the file. So once I check on these additions, only the additions with respect to the two comparison files are visible over here. So once I go for removals and I remove the additions, only the removals with respect to file A and file B has been showcased over here. So once I activate both, so both of them you can see over here. So this is one of the tools that will be helpful for the managers or the designers to find out the differences between the revisions of individual files. And if I want to take it as an output, I can save it over here in the PDF format. So this is one of the productivity tools which I wanted to speak about. So now let us go back to the PPT and summarize what we have seen. So DraftSight Power Tools improve the efficiency of draftsmen by making software more versatile and variety of drafting and design tasks. So next we shall see what are the other similarities the DraftSight carry with respect to the competitive tools. So DraftSight supports the customize and list support option. So wherein if you want to create any add-ins for your DraftSight tool, so you can create your own add-ins and you can add it over here. So whether you want to run any macros to do some automation in the tool, so that is also supported over here. So for people who are already working on AutoCAD running some Lisp commands, so if they are interested in migrating to DraftSight, so no worries on that. The same Lisp program which they had created for the AutoCAD can be bought over here, and they can reuse it by using the AutoLisp and the Visual Lisp file options. So it is easy to create your own add-in over here in the DraftSight. So now let us see what are the different versions of DraftSight that are available. So DraftSight comes in two versions, that is the Enterprise and the Enterprise Plus. Before we go for the versions, so I would like to showcase one of the other feature that is available in the DraftSight. So I would like to highlight this particular part. So if you can see over here, so I have a profile that's been completely unstable. So now to make sure the profile is stable, so I'm gonna add some constraints to it. So DraftSight has a separate constraint tab, so which will be helping you in stabilizing your drawings. So I would like to add some horizontal constraints over here, and I want to add some vertical constraints over here, and I want to join these two entities. So I'll be using the join entities option, and next I'm gonna join it by using add a concentric relation over here. And next thing is, whenever we are trying to trim in a particular 2D tool, so we need to define the boundaries of the tool and then split the entities, and we need to select the entities that has to be eliminated. So which is going to be a long time process in the when we are working on 2D tools. But with the help of DraftSight, this process is going to be pretty easy. Just by activating the power trim option, so you can just hover your cursor through the entities which you would like to remove or eliminate from your drawings, and the same is going to be updated. And even without changing the tool, using the same tool by holding shift command on my keyboard, I'll be able to join the entities as well. So this is one of the powerful tool this makes the designer work comfortably and easily using a single tool. So next, what other extra features are available in DraftSight? So just by right clicking on my mouse and moving my cursor, so I have a shortcut bar that's been activated over here. So this we call it as mouse gestures. So repeatedly or frequently used commands can be arranged over here so that the designer no need to select the commands from the ribbons or maybe type it on the keyboard. So he can quickly activate the commands by using the mouse gestures and start working on it. So the mouse gestures are supported with 8 gestures as well as 4 gestures. So the designers can keep up to 4 commands around the mouse gestures or maybe 8 gestures at a time around the mouse. So this is also one of the feature that is exclusively available only in the draft site. So now let us see what are the other what are the different versions of DraftSight that is available. So DraftSight comes in two flavors. So one is the Enterprise and another one is the Enterprise Plus version. So what makes Enterprise Plus different from the Enterprise version? So the custom blocks which I had mentioned over here, that is by using the pump valve. So that thing is going to come only in the Enterprise Plus version and it is not available in the Enterprise. And the 2D constraints which I added at the end to make sure the drawing or the profile is going to be stabilized. So that 2D constraints tab is going to come only in the Enterprise Plus version and not in the Enterprise. And the 3D modeling options which I explained during the user interface option, so that is also going to come only in the Enterprise Plus version, not in the Enterprise. So let us look at the licensing terms that are available in the draft site. So draft site comes with perpetual licensing, so wherein the usage of the tool is can be indefinite. So once you purchase or invest on the tool and you can use it for a lifetime, so we call it as a lifetime license. So you can use a specific version of the software continuously with the permanent license. And next, so DraftSight comes on annual term license as well. So for users who would like to work on term basis, so we have the license flexibility for the tool. So wherein you can use the tool for a required period of time. So this particular type of licensing will be very helpful for people who work on project based. So DraftSight also has an advanced version or a licensing term, that is the subscription license. So wherein your data management comes as an add-in along with your DraftSight 2D CAD designer tool. So you in this particular license you will be having access to the cloud platform. So you will be having built-in data management tools within the same CAD user interface. So it will be a named user license, so wherein the licenses are going to be attached to your mail IDs, not rather than it's going to be locked to your uh, desktop systems. So this particular type of license will be very helpful for people who work on service-based industries. So perpetual and annual license are your the licenses are going to be attached to your desktop itself. So whereas in the subscription based license, so the licenses are going to be attached to your exclusive mail IDs. So wherein you can carry your license wherever you want to go. So DraftSight offers flexible options for named user, network, and perpetual licensing. So take your charge on 2D CAD and plan your buy now. So what are the other so once you shift to DraftSight, so what are the supports you are going to get from the OEM side as well as the reseller side? So for every customer who has purchased DraftSight, so they have two levels of support. So one is the support from the internal beacon team, so where we have dedicated engineers who work on support systems and they'll be ready to take up your calls at any point of time you find any issues. And next we have the support from the OEM side, that is from the developer side. So at any point of time, so where the reseller is not able to resolve your issues, in that scenarios we can loop your contents to the development team and they will definitely be helping us to resolve your issues. So two levels of support you will be getting one upon the purchase of the DraftSight tool. So let us summarize what we saw in today's session. So DraftSight has a familiar user interface with a minimal learning curve. So which means a person who has a basic knowledge on 2D CAD can directly start working on the tool since day one without any training being required. So you can reuse your legacy data with ease and no compatibility issues. If you are working on any AutoCAD files since a long time, so you can bring in the data directly from AutoCAD files to DraftSight, and from DraftSight you can bring it to AutoCAD. So there will be no compatibility issues between AutoCAD and DraftSight or any other CAD tools. So it converts your ideas and documents into workable drawings with the help of PDF import, image tracer, and the documents compare tools. So easy to handle drawing revision and comparison of files with the help of compare tool. So built-in mechanical toolbox libraries that are available from the base version of DraftSight, which will be helping the designers save their time, and also the rework of the design is going to be completely automated here. So the repetitive task can be easily handled with the help of dynamic blocks. So multiple licensing options are available as per the customer's convenience and needs. So let us start with a few of the poll questions. So I'll just add some poll questions over here. Hmm. So I would request you to answer these particular questions. I request everybody to answer the poll question so that we shall wait for some another 10-15 seconds, and next we shall go for the Q&A session. So thank you all for your responses. So I'm happy with the response that most of the people feel, 63% of the people feel all of the above is the feature that they found easy, and a few of the people who work on PDF import has highlighted it, and some of the people who are comfortable with the familiar user interface has given their responses. So thanks for your response. So now I have another poll. So let's just quickly answer it in 5 seconds. So as I mentioned about the licensing types, I would like to uh, know what your responses are about the licensing types. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for your responses. So everybody has voted. So DraftSight licensing is completely flexible and it is available in all the terms as per the customer's needs. So 65 to 70% of people have voted it as all the above, uh, and thanks for the response. So next I have another last poll question. So I would request you to answer the same. Yeah. So I would like to know your response about this. So thanks for your responses. I see around 60 to 70% of the people are interested in exploring about the offers available on DraftSight. So next we shall have the Q&A session. So I shall share my screen. So if you have any questions, you can just post it in. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can just post it in the chat window that is available in the right hand side. Yeah, so I can see Mr. Sriram Tyagarajan has asked a question. So, what are the different extension types supported by DraftSight? So, it's a very good question, sir. Thanks for your response. So, DraftSight supports .dwg as well as the DXF formats, and also for people who are working on legacy versions of AutoCAD. So, whether they want the files to be saved in the oldest version, so it can be 2000 version of AutoCAD, it can be 2004, 2008 version of AutoCAD. So DraftSight supports all these saving formats, so wherein you can work on the latest version of DraftSight, but save your file in the very oldest version of DWG format, and you can share it with the client so that they can, whichever version of the respective version of the tool they are using, they can use your file for their purpose, for their drawing or the drafting purposes. So I have a question from Mr. Gauri Shankar. So what is the price of this software? So I'll just ask our salespeople to get in touch with you, sir. They'll give you a clear idea about the pricing as well as the offers that are currently being running on the draft site tool. Uh, so I have a question from Mr. Sriram Tyagarajan. Uh, is watermarking being supported? So like, can you please brief the question, sir? Like, are you speaking about the logos being added into the title block, or what kind of watermarking you are expecting it to be done? Yeah, and we have a question from Mr. Funny asking that, so whether DraftSight supports the list programs. Yes, Funny, the DraftSight has all its DraftSight supports the list programs that's been written for AutoCAD. So you can just directly bring in the program files and you can run it over here in the DraftSight. And it also supports your macros if you are creating customizing it on the VBA platform, so you can write macros on the VBA platform and you can run it in the draft side. Yes, sir. Like, so adding it. So I think Mr. Sriram Tyagarajan has explained his question once again. So adding a text in the background of the draft. Yes, sir. It is definitely possible. So, any other questions? Okay. So I don't see much of the questions over here. So I'll just. Okay. I have one of the questions from Mr. Renuga Pragadishwaran. So what kind of open errors will be shown while conversion to DXF? No, sir, DraftSight doesn't show any open errors until and unless the file is stabilized, and so it directly converts the DWG files into DXF files. So we need to go for the same procedure just like how we do in competitive CAD tools. Go for the file save as option, and we can save it over there. Yeah, thank you all for attending the DraftSight webinar. So here I have posted my email ID, and we have the marketing email ID also. So you can, if you have any more further questions, so you can just mail us over here, and we'll definitely be happy to answer all your questions. So thank you all for attending the webinar. And so here I'll be ending the webinar with this thanking note. Yeah, thank you.